With older maps, people really tend to like them or really dislike them. Nowadays, people are usually in the middle. They think a map is playable, but they wouldn't use it as a go-to map. I bring all this up to say that Noct is a map that people adore, despite it having nothing compared to newer maps. One might say, well, that's a little bit unfair. It was the first map ever made. I mean, they never expected it to get anywhere, and I would somewhat agree, but that's not even the point. None of this is about dismantling Noct. This is about how good is Untitled, and does it even still hold up? Are people still using it as a go-to map? Are people still in the middle? Untitled, or roughly translated in German, Night of the Undead, was the first map ever made for the Nazi Zombies game mode. This game mode was never intended to go far or even past one map. That's why you only unlocked it after beating the game. Activision didn't want zombies to take away from campaign, which is what most people went to COD for at that time. Now, this wasn't my first Call of Duty, nor was it even my first map. Kino was, but for a lot of people, this is where it started. This map was a stepping stone for all maps in Call of Duty. So were most of the World at War maps, but I'll get onto those later in the video. This map's so influential that it's been remastered so many times. Noct is in World at War, BO1, BO2, BO3, and even in Cold War. Each version added something new to the table, something that the last remaster didn't have. The BO3 remaster was by far the easiest, and it would also be reimagined in Revelations. In BO1, it brought the Thunder Gun, Monkey Bombs, one perk, Mule Kick, kind of useless, because there's no quick rev, so if you go down, I guess you don't have to worry about, oh, I lose my weapon, you just die. But bad perk to add for, I don't know why they added Mule Kick onto that map. If you're on co-op, then I guess, then you kind of have to worry, because, then you down, and then you lose the gun. In Zombies Chronicles, in BO3, you get all of that, plus the Mark II and a Wonder Fizz machine. Noct is the most bare bones map ever. That's probably the simplest way to put it. Without perks in the World at War version and no Pack-a-Punch, you heavily relied on bullets, and wall weapons just weren't enough. And so ammo was a huge challenge. I would say probably the biggest challenge you would have to face in Untitled World at War. World at War is challenging in on its own. The zombies were glitchy, everything was glitchy, and this just made the map unfathomably difficult. There are smaller, other bare bones maps like Noct, but they are not nearly as loved as this map. And they give off the exact same experience. So why are they hated so much? The community loves Noct. There's no doubting that, but there's little to hate about Untitled. Maps like Farm have fire and exploding zombies, a bad layout in general. Noct doesn't have any of those problems. I'd say the most complained about thing about Untitled is how slow the map is. Because that is really annoying when you're playing zombies, is how slow the start is. And on that map, it is fucking atrocious. It was meant to be bare bones. It was never meant to become more than it became. We were only ever going to get one map. Until DLC 1. That is fear. A very special kind of fear. Verrückt has an interesting story and atmosphere. There are a lot of audio tracks that play throughout the gameplay, such as screaming, crying, people pleading for their lives even. There's music, like carnival music, just so many audio cues that play that adds to the fear factor and overall just lore of this map. This all takes place in an asylum in the burning woods far from society. The player came here to take back Peter McCain only to find it overrun with zombies. This all made the player feel hopeless, and that would add to the fact that you would spawn in a completely different room on the other side of the map from your friend. Making the player feel alone or separated from the people they expected to be with them and surrounded by is perfect for making the most terrifying Call of Duty Zombies map of all time. If you're going through hordes of zombies, you finally make it to the power switch and are finally reunited with your buddies, and you may have noticed a couple new machines around the map, something we had never seen before. In fact, you had never even seen a power switch before. 4 Coca-Colas were introduced, such as Double Tap, which increased your fire rate. Juggernog, which increased how many hits you could take before getting downed. Revive only worked on co-op, but it allowed you to revive your teammates faster. And Speed Cola, which allowed you to reload your guns faster. Traps were also introduced, the only one being the electric trap. It was so influential that it would keep appearing in maps to come. Mystery box is also no longer fastened to one spot. It would move around, and this would incentivize exploring the map. You know, if you spin the box in that one room for so long and then it moves, you're like, what the hell? So this would make players explore the map to go find it. Ray gun also makes a return back from Nocturne Totem. First zombie musical Easter egg can also be seen here. It can be heard by going to the second floor bathroom and interacting with the toilet to the far left, just next to the bloody handprint on the wall. You flush it 3 times and you'll hear the song Lullaby of a Dead Man. If you were to take a look around the kitchen, you would see bloody utensils. In fact, all of this kind of utensils and doctor equipment is all over the map. No matter where you go, blood, screaming, and zombies will follow. Tank Dempsey, John Banana, Smokey, and Paxton Gunner Ridge arrived at Group 935's asylum facility located in Berlin, Germany in 1945 to extract American spy... Aiden, you ruined it. Extract American spy Peter McCain to safety. They find it overrun with zombies and try to fight off the horde as long as they can. Zombies in this map, to a lot of people, just feel way more aggressive than in the previous map, Nocturne Totem. Zombies in this map are also just much faster than other maps. Zombies can easily overrun players if they sprint with heavier weapons, and I feel like glitches in World at War are just much more prominent with how harder these zombies are. The map throws the player off with how asymmetrical it is. A lot of older maps are like this, unlike the newer ones. Ruct has all of these tight corridors and weird angles, turns. So your only thought really is there going to be a zombie when I turn this corner? Am I just going to instantly die? This map will scare you even if you're not playing it. I mean, and just imagine playing it as a little kid. But none of this have ever prepared you for DLC 2 and what was ahead. That would become one of the most infamous sounds in all of COD Zombies. As a little kid, hearing "Fetch me their souls" is terrifying, especially for the first time. Like, imagine you're just sitting there alone, playing on some old ass TV, fucking 360, and you hear that shit. That's gonna stick with you for a while. Released all the way back on June 11th, 2009, Shino knew it would become the 3rd installment of COD Zombies. People didn't even enjoy the map due to its more disgusting vibe. It's a swamp. It's all just one giant, dark, desolate, little nowhere area, which adds to its atmosphere. I have no idea why I just said atmosphere so slowly like that. Shinonuma marks the beginning of a very long journey with 3 new characters, including Takeo Masaki, Edward Richtofen, Nikolai Belensky, and returning from Verrucht, Tank Dempsey. 4 were teleported here to a Division 9 research facility to obtain Richtofen's diary. Step 1 in Richtofen's plan to take over the world. His 3 other allies tag along with him to help fight off all of the zombies. We never really understood what Richtofen was doing, but they had no other choice, and so they kind of just went along with him anyways. I mean, what the hell else are you gonna do? The Rising Sun facility was created in order to investigate the meteor fragments found by the Imperial Japanese Army. Division 9 was created in order to oversee the operation within the site. First, the Emperor was not pleased with the operation of the site, as the meteor fragments didn't provide a high enough sample of element 115 to actually be able to use, and decides to cut resources and supplies for the site. Japan would then hand over the Rising Sun facility to Group 935, while Division 9 still remains involved. Maxis would eventually visit and develop a prototype of the ray gun, one of the most iconic weapons in Call of Duty Zombies, W Maxis. Later on, Takeo is dispatched by the Emperor to oversee the work of Group 935 and Division 9 at the Rising Sun facility, and he eventually becomes a test subject after showing to the Emperor signs of concerns guarding the research on the site. In the Protodome fracture, an unknown accident occurs and the site is lost. Like I said earlier, people don't typically like the swamp maps. Zetsubo is another example, just one of those situations where people are like, ew, disgusting. The only thing is, Shino has a better atmosphere than Zetsubo, so I think Zetsubo has a lot of other stuff that goes against it, more so than Shino. Shino is a lot creepier and scarier, especially on World at War. The blood, the maggots, like even the fog surrounding the place. There's just something innately within humans that makes you want to play games that give you a boost of anxiety and adrenaline. This does both of those things. This is also the first map not even taking place in Germany. It's the only map in World at War that doesn't take place in Germany. It's also the first map where you could go outside the building and there were plants and wildlife, you know, kind of gross shit, but at least there was some other form of life that you could see than just you and, well, not even life, you know, the undead kind of alive. You know, had a very special map design where there's a central hut that branches off into other areas. Each new area you open gets you a random perk machine. Jug could be first, or, you know, it could be last, and then you kind of get fucked. There's the doctor's quarters, the fishing hut, the comm room, and the storage hut. They all pretty much look and are about the same size, but each building and area still felt new and something cool to explore. The map design on this map is probably one of the best, especially in the early days. The map introduced many elements to the zombies mode. Shinonuma introduced the concept of a special round where the player fights against a unique type zombie instead of the normal ones. And if you defeat all of the dogs, you know, in the case of Shinonuma, you have hellhounds. If you defeat all of them, you get a max ammo, which would become a staple forever. Like, name a zombie map after Shinonuma that didn't have a boss round or some sort of boss zombie on the map. Mystery box, again, will start moving around the map, so it'll force you to kind of go and explore the area. Shinonuma was also the first map to introduce an infinite damage wonder weapon, and my personal favorite wonder weapon, the Wonder Wob DG2. This shot electrical charges at the zombies that would chain spread into other zombies. It could also shock you, like if you shoot a dog as it's like about to jump on you, you die because the dog's probably going to hit you. Even with that downside, you still feel empowered. Shinonuma is the easiest map of all time, though. If we're talking about the World at War version, I think there are maps that came out after it that are way easier than Shinonuma, but if you talk about the World at War version, there's a lot of glitches. There's an insta-kill glitch, 24 zombies per round, cap, like a max ammo every 5 rounds, and one Wonder Wob shot can end an entire round. It's also underrated. It's a great map with a great atmosphere, and people give it too much hate, and I don't think that it deserves that. But people have nothing but the opposite to say about DLC 3. When someone talks about zombies and the most important maps, Derice is always one of them. Arguably, you could say that without it, zombies would have ceased to exist. It introduced so many components to the game mode, like it was not your ordinary zombies map. The previous maps were bare bones and just extremely primitive. There are nearly as much in those maps as there were in Derice. Derice, German for the Giant, is the 4th map in the zombies game mode and would be the final zombies map in World at War. It's set in a Group 935 main base of operations known as, Waffen Fabrik Derice. I know I don't speak German, and so I don't know how to really pronounce that. It was the debut of the teleporters and the Pack-a-Punch machine. A machine that for 5,000 points allowed the player to upgrade their weapon. Most people say that if Pack-a-Punch came any later than Kino or 5, even zombies would have been different, or even maybe not even a thing. It's such a staple and probably the most iconic thing for zombies. Being able to make your guns stronger and have something to buy on later rounds. People would have eventually given up on the zombies mode, I think, if it had not been for this thing. And there's other things, but this was definitely like what really brought people back. It brought up the replay value. The Ultimate's crew returns to the Derice facility from the Rising Sun facility in 1945. With his diary, Rick's often plans to use the teleporter to return to the moon and confront Samantha. But like every map, upon arriving, they must face the limitless hordes of the undead as they continue their journey. There's an Easter egg on this map, but like all the other maps, just like the musical Easter eggs, there's no significance in the story. It's just there for you to be able to do something kind of cool. This was originally built to serve as a research facility. It made devastating wonder weapons, including the Wonder Wob and monkey bombs. All this dangerous research would inevitably become unhinged, causing a zombie outbreak. Derice was a pivotal experience, an important one at that. Everyone who bought this map when it came out soon realized this was new. This was completely different from all of the other maps. That wasn't entirely new. I guess I should take that back, because it was kind of based off a multiplayer map, but all of them were. This is also the first map where people really just kind of camped. I mean, there was the spot in Noct, but it didn't come anywhere near close to the catwalk in Derice. It was too iconic. There were 3 methods of escaping on it if anything bad had happened, and zombies would only come at you at the front. And so, I mean, you could get to round 30 before it started to become like kind of hard to actually stay up there and not run into reloading. Derice offered a duality of camping and training. You know, once you got to round 30, probably maybe 20, 25, you kind of had to start like doing a training strategy, and most people I think would probably end up doing a full map train. But there were some people who did just right by the power switch, and you have that trap right there, but that one's a little bit more dangerous. Wonderwaff made a return, but it was glitched. If you shot yourself with it, you lose Jug. I mean, the emblem didn't disappear, it stayed there, it just shut Jug off, like you just all of a sudden didn't have the effects of it anymore. On co-op, wasn't that big of a deal, you know, just down and buy the perk back, but on solo, you only had 1 life, and Quick Revive didn't have the solo abilities yet. That was introduced in VO1, which will be the next episode in this series. This is the most important zombies map ever, and without it, I don't think zombies would have survived. Hope you guys enjoy. This was a World at War, like, retrospective. I had all of them written up as, like, individual videos, all the maps. It's been done. I got the idea from Tim Hansen. I didn't want to do exactly what he did, but yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. I do plan to do BO1, then BO2, you know, keep going up, but these take a while to make, so it might be a little bit. Got a lot of other series that I got to finish and do. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.